Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. How do I do that? I review the wines, I grade them, and then it's up to you. I review. It's up to you. I'm just going to go on a little rant. I promised that I would do some more Pinot Noir because I was a little disappointed yesterday with the Pinots that I had, which is surprising because I'm a big fan of Jed Steele. I love his wines, but I don't know, that Pinot just wasn't doing it for me. And of course the Cambria was a little bit of a disappointment. So I thought I'd give some more choices perhaps for you, because as we talked about, I think if you're going to go on a date for Valentine's Day, maybe it's a new date, maybe it's somebody you don't know all that well, you're not familiar with their wine palate, I think Pinot Noir is the way to go, but you have to be careful where you pick it from. We talked about that, maybe from Cali, or in this case we're going to go to Southern Oregon, and I'll tell you why we're going to go there in a minute. So I'm hoping that I got three more choices. We did taste the Paul Hobbs, it was very good. You know, it's 60 bones. You know, we understand that's a lot of money, but remember we said don't go cheap on Valentine's Day. Don't try and budget your wine on Valentine's Day. Please don't go cheap. Make it special. Especially if you want to impress somebody, which is what that's all about. Just a little bit of a rant though, real quick. Just real quick, for those of you who are watching, if you are in the biz, the wine biz, you call on me, you're a sales rep, you're part of the wholesale part of business. You know, right now, I have like 34 followers on YouTube. I've been doing this for over a year. That's kind of embarrassing for me. But I should have easily over 100 subscribers if all of you peeps in the wine biz, that means you, Scott, that means you, Michael, that means you, Jason, all you guys that know me, that you know, that I buy from, that I do, Chuck, all you guys should be following me on YouTube. It's real simple. Just go to my YouTube channel, Stan the Wine Man TV, and hit subscribe. It is that simple. And I am going to harp on you guys to do that because, well, it just looks better when I have more subscribers. I know I'm getting quite a few views on the older episodes, and I have a lot. I really appreciate those who are following and watching my videos. Hopefully they're very educational for you. You're learning something, and you're finding wines that you can like. Because I'm going to keep going with this. I really like doing it, but I want to see some results. I really do want to see some results. I know there's things I need to do on my end, but if both Matthews, if you know people in your company that are not following, get them to follow, get them to subscribe. All of you, really work on that, because I really would hope that you guys would support me on this and really help me out as far as subscriber goes. That's it for rant. That's it. I'm just saying. Anyway, let's go on. Let's move on. First one we're going to do rolls in at $22. Sonoma Hills Russian River Valley Pinot Noir. And we talked about the Russian River Valley as a very good place to go for Pinot. And the reason for that is they get the fog in the morning. It really cools down. It's a classic spot for Pinot Noir. And you'll see a lot of Pinots coming out of it. And some of the really good Pinots, you know, that we see a lot of them coming out of their big names in Pinot Noir. We tasted some Paul Hobbs yesterday from the Russian River Valley. Rocchioli, I believe, is in that area also. These are big name Pinot Noir producers. This one is $22. Now, I'm not saying you're being chintzy by spending $22. That's a pretty good fair chunk of change to spend on a bottle of wine. Let's see what we get on the nose. A lot of strawberry with a little bit of pie crust going on, almost like a strawberry pie. Of course, there's hints of cherry, a little dusty element coming through. And just to recap what we talked about a little bit yesterday is the reason you go to Cali is the wines are going to be a little rounder, a little fuller bodied, which when you're going to buy a bottle of wine for a date, maybe you're going to cook something at home and you invite them over to your house. You want something that's not going to be too in that narrow category, you know, where, you know, maybe it's a Burgundy that's a little bit earthy and stinky and acidic, which a lot of us wine geeks like that sort of thing. But sorry, my sleeve was messing with me. So, you know, or even Willamette Valley, where they get to be a little acidic, a little bit lean from time to time. You know, that's okay if you really know, like, you know, I mean, like my wife likes Pinot Noir. She loves Domaine Drouhin out of Oregon. Even though she's not a wine drinker, she will drink Pinot Noir. She likes that, but it has to be a certain kind of Pinot Noir, and she likes Riesling. Anyway, so on the nose, there's a little bit of a cola element, a little cola and root beer coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is on the thinner side of Pinot Noir, but that's not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. This is what you expect out of Pinot Noir. So if you're doing a salmon dinner for your sweetheart, this might be the perfect Pinot Noir for that. A lot of strawberries, almost like roasted strawberries, like you barbecued them real quick. A little bit of cherry, a little bit of cola action coming through on this. Like I said, it's a thinner. There's a little, I get some red flowers on the palate. It's very delicious. It's a little bit on the borderline of a Pinot Noir. This is almost Burgundian, which I really like. It's nice and delicate, but it's not too funky. I think you could get away with this one. It's $22. If you feel like your sweetheart might like a Pinot that is a little bit more Burgundian, or maybe you know them a little bit better and you're trying to hedge them towards that, this would be a good starter for that. Even a hint of black tea. I always like black tea elements in my Pinot Noir. I don't know why. I just think it's a really good characteristic, as long as it's not as done and balanced. It's well balanced, a little bit thin, but like I said, this is a good food Pinot Noir, and I think that it'd be one that you could probably go with. $22. I'm going to go B- on this, a strong B-, maybe closer to B. I think this is better than either the Steel or the Cambria that I had yesterday. Shows a little bit more personality, a lot more going on. I'm going to go B- on this one. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now, the reason I'm going to Southern Oregon it's interesting. I think this the stainless steel bucket here puts off an interesting, almost like a tuna fish smell that I'm getting on this. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, I'm going Southern Oregon. This is the Rogue Valley because it's a little warmer down there, so you get a little bit more of that sunshine like you would, let's say, in California. This is the Forest 2011 Pinot Noir, Rogue Valley, Oregon. And this is $17, and the reason I chose this, and I've had really good success with this one, I think I've reviewed it in the past, is this is, at least it has been, a very, very good Pinot for the money. And if you're on a tighter budget, you don't want to go cheap, but you don't have a ton of money, this would be a nice Pinot to go to. Let's see what we get on the nose. Dang it! I think I got another corked wine. This has happened way more than I'm used to in reviewing wines. This has happened a lot on this channel. I'm going to see if I can get by it. It's just barely, but I always say that, and then I end up changing my mind when I taste it. Can't do it. Sorry. I really wanted to do that one. I think it's an excellent Pinot. In the past I've done it. Maybe I'll reintroduce it, but it has always been a good Pinot. It is definitely corked. Bombed! It's not holding true to what I'm used to with this Pinot Noir. What I will tell you about this, the Forest, if you look for it, it has a nice roundness to it. It's a little bit acidic, but not in a terrible way, and it's only $17. It's a crowd pleaser. I'm really sorry about that. I really wanted to review that wine. Let's move on to the next one. Now we're going to the Sean Miner Pinot Noir from Carneros. We talked about Carneros a little bit in the last episode. And Carneros is definitely a cooler part of Sonoma, and they do a ton of Pinot Noir down there, and for good reason. It's a good growing condition. This rolls in at $20. So this has a little more glycerin, a little heavier on the nose. You get that right off the bat, like dark cherries. A little bit of black tea, a little bit of root beer coming through. Sarsaparilla is the snooty. It's root beer. A little bit of licorice coming through too, which is interesting. This is definitely a bigger bouquet than any of the Pinots I've tried prior to this. Interesting, like an oatmeal cookie thing going on, which I find very intriguing. Let's see what we get on the palate. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Really good classic Pinot Noir flavors. Nice big cherry notes. A little bit of root beer coming through. A little bit of black tea. But this has a nice body to it. This has some weight. This fills the palate. This is nice and smooth and delicious, front to back. Yeah, this has got classic. What I like about this is it's nice and delicate on the finish. There's no, like, it's not cloying, which means it doesn't kind of hang on like it has a bunch of Syrah in it. But it is nice. I mean, you get really good ripe cherries, but with a red flower component underneath, and that cola kind of root beer thing hangs on, and just a touch of black tea. I mean, this is one of those Pinot Noirs that you can go, okay, I want to introduce somebody to Pinot. It's a sexy Pinot Noir. It's got all the things going on. And if you want to impress somebody on Valentine's Day and you want a good Pinot Noir, I would go Sean Miner. It's $20. It shows like a $30 to $40 Pinot Noir. I mean, it's just really good. And the finish just keeps going on and on and on, which I really like. Got that red flower component, a little bit of that those cherry and black tea thing. I love cherry and black tea in my Pinot Noir. It's just classic flavors that you get. And you know, there's no Asian spice in this, which we talked about with the Paul Hobbs, but it's also $40 cheaper. There you go. Good Pinot Noir. I am going to go B+ on the Sean Miner Pinot Noir. And finally, well, the Snowy Hill is very good. Sean Miner, very good. Excellent Pinots, $20, $22. There you go. I'm not going to hit on Pinot Noir anymore, but it is a wine that I think is a nice wine to bring to the table on Valentine's Day. And especially if you don't know your palate. They like wine, but you don't know their palate. This is a safe bet. Certainly, I think it would impress them that you brought a Pinot. But even more impressive is that you bring one that's really good. And, you know, for $20, for $22, you can do it. Thanks for watching. Remember, wine is not a mystery. It's not complicated. It is just fermented grape juice. Be true to your palate. Be willing, always be willing, please, to try new things. Reach out, try new things. But never let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. If we do that together, we can take the snob out of wine.